I'm not gonna be too long with this, but it's gonna be brief. Might even don't even shout out to people coming in. But when it comes down to it, it's everybody's fault. It's your parents' fault. It's your family fault. You know, part of money. So, and for that purpose, you have an excuse to do what you do. If I'm not good with saving money, it's because my parents never taught me. I never seen my family do it. Uh, I'm in debt. It's my family's fault. It's everybody's fault but yours, And you hear this word a lot and people don't want to acknowledge it. It's accountability. Nobody wants to be accountable for their actions, when I could just blame the next. It was my dad's fault because he wasn't around. That's why I'm not a man. Or it was my dad's fault he wasn't around for a lady situation where she can't pick a good man. You can always point the finger. But, one of the things that I like talking about and going back to over a lot of people is choices. The choices you make hinder your future and your reactions to the process on things happening to you. So, for instance, you know, the choices with me with money. If I have bad choices as an adult with money, it's because it's my fault. I'm an adult. You know, I was on a podcast before, and one thing that the guy, told me was, it's just not really me, just basically to the people on the panel and, in the audience as well, is that when you do something after 18, you're responsible for it. At that point, you're an adult, there's no excuses. So if you do something wrong, you go to jail, you know, so there's no excuses. They have a point where they say ignorance is no excuse for the law. So that's the same way in life. If there's a situation where you don't know about money, it's no excuse. Learn about money. You know, when it comes down to a point that, you know, choices in relationship is no excuses. Learn about relationships. You know, the key thing is if I want to get married, who should I be around? Married people. If I want to know about finance, who should I deal with? People that know about finance or to a degree have money. And when I say to a degree, that means that pretty much just because a person has money, that doesn't mean that they're good with money. You have people that get inheritance, you have people that sell companies, never had money before, don't know how to handle money. So that's why I say to a degree. When it comes down to it, everybody points the finger at family members, friends, all this. It's everybody's fault but the person that they're dealing with. And they have this saying that if you point the finger at somebody, you're pointing three fingers back at yourself. So in that instant, you should already have an understanding that, hey, when I'm doing things, I have to be accountable for my actions. You know, as a child, I thought and I spoke as a child, but when I became grown, I put away my childish things and adhere to what? Society rules and regulations. So, like I said, when it comes down to it, if you're over 18, it's your fault. You didn't go seek the knowledge. You didn't do things properly to get yourself in the right order. So, pretty much, demon, you're going to be held responsible for your actions, whether it be in relationships, whether it also be in finance. This is the main thing that I always talk about with people about your finance. This is the main thing I always talk about people with your self awareness for you and your mental. There are a lot of people that deal with struggles and situations all the time. And the number one issue with all that is they don't want to be at fault for anything. They don't want to be blamed for their actions and things that they do. So in return, there's no problem if I do anything wrong because I'm not at fault. There's a situation that happened I can blame my parents for not teaching me this. Relationships I have bad, I can blame my father or my mother for not teaching. When are people gonna hold themselves accountable for their actions? Paige, what's going on? Hey, check out my video yesterday, Paige. The one I had at 5:30. It pretty much is the live before this one. Um, that one was pretty good. I had you might want to check out this guy. I put in the thumb. I put three videos in the thumbnail. The first video is I Will Teach You to Be Rich. There's a podcast called I Will Teach You to Be Rich by a guy named Ramith. He was on Netflix and he has his own podcast on Apple and he's on YouTube. Great channel. The second video I put up there was, I believe, the Black Excellence channel on YouTube, where they focus more on like things about black people in the community, their issues and things of that nature. Red Lipstick Vibe, what's going on with you? And then the third video I put up was the curse of the lottery, where it talks about people hitting the lottery and like the horrible things. But that was the video from yesterday. Like I was saying, just check that out. Like you'll love that. And shout out to you, Red Lipstick Vibe. But yeah, like I said, it's your fault. Everybody wants to blame family members, friends, everything. None of it is your fault. You have to be accountable for your actions. Like I said, if you're in a relationship and your relationship is rocky, is bad, it's because the situation, it's a choice you made. You chose to be with that person. You chose to have relations, and your choices, depict your outcomes. And a lot of people are not taught that. Yeah, like I said, that it's pretty good. Like, focus more on the money, and I watch those a lot. I forgot which channel it comes on cable, but they have one where My Rich Life, I believe, not H. I know H. I think it was H. Not HCTV. I forgot the other channel that they have, but they talk about My Rich Life, where I have everybody who hit the lottery to a degree that comes on the show, whether they hit for 190,000, whether they hit for 3 point some million, and they talk about their winnings and things of that nature. And I have watched a couple other shows called The Curse of the Lottery, where they talk about people who hit the lottery, lost everything, tragedy happens to them. So I like watching those two. It give me a good definition to where if I hit the lottery, I'm not pretty much telling nobody. I'm not going back to my house. If I do, I'm sending somebody there because money change people. But like I say, watch that, you'll get an understanding, and you know, you start doing more into that. I'm always looking at the points of money. But like I say, with this one right here, everybody wants to blame people for their shortcomings. You know, it comes a point when, like I said, 18, you're responsible for yourself. If you don't know how to pick a good mate in a relationship, you have to go out there and find that knowledge. Like I said, if I want to be married, I'm going to deal with married people, because just because someone's been married for 30 years, they don't have all the answers, but they have situations where they can teach you how to move through, the pitfalls. One of the people that, encouraged me to get married was my cousin. My cousin, he's on his second marriage. Going on, Lonzo. My cousin's on his second marriage, and he was one of the main people telling me to get married. He was like, man, this is a thing that, if you want to get married, you know, be with this woman. These are certain things that you need to look at. These are the things that I follow. These are the things I looked at my mother do with my father, which is my uncle and them, and this is how it's been represented. Um, so if I want to follow that path, hey, there you go. Same thing with a couple of the elder people that I talked to that were married. They said, well, marriage is pretty much like a job. And most people deal with it as a business. And when it comes down to it, both parties have to be on the same page to a degree at some point for the marriage to actually consider it to keep moving along. It's there's moving parts to a vehicle, just like there's moving parts to a marriage. You know, a lot of times people don't look at it as being a business, but pretty much I look at it, that's what it is. It's just simply a business. What's going on, Cool Gamer? And when it comes down to it, decisions that you make, because I keep referring back to this every single time with anything that you do in life, is always choices. The choices that you make pretty much depict the situation that you got yourself in. You can blame any and everybody for relationship problems, money problems, but it all goes back to the choices that you make and having the proper education. When it comes down to it, how many people literally go out and seek information? If I want to get married, I'm going to go find out information on marriage. I'm going to do some studying. Right now, in this age of technology and AI and Google and Siri, this is the best time for you to do research and find out anything. Literally, if I want to do stock options, I can go home and within one night, I can't be a professional with it because it takes time to be a professional, but I can be somewhat savvy about my decision making on buying stocks. Just taking the necessary doing the homework. Same approach with being in a relationship. You can go online, find several people that have been in relationship for years. Their method might not work for you in your situation, but their method is a guideline for you to live off of. Yeah, and the way technology is for us, we can almost do anything. I was literally talking to my son last night, and it was great that he went and took a business. Both of my sons take business and entrepreneurship in school. So they took them to this field trip to where they gave them adult scenarios. One of my sons was married, and they're twins, so they're in the same grade. And yeah, the Cyclopedia, the Britannica, the Book of Knowledge, I had all them. Yeah, like before the computer, you had to get those Encyclopedia Britannicas or those book of knowledge, to do researches, do homework, go to the library, the Dewey Decimal System. The kids know nothing about this. But yeah, like getting into it, there's a lot of people that can get so much information, but they drop the ball. You know, uh, getting yourself around people with knowledge, that's the key. You know, in certain communities, they let you know, hey, yep, Atlas, yep. If a lot of people don't even know how to use a map, if their Google went out, a lot of people just be shot. They don't even know how to move around their own city. Compared to me, I wasn't born in Georgia. I was born out west in New Mexico. But this is the thing for me, it was crazy. I know more locations to get to in Atlanta than people that have been living here for years. People that were born in Atlanta. Due to the fact that I did promotion, I like to travel, and I try to make myself aware of things to the point where people used to call me when I used to do my promotion along this in the city for clubs and stuff like that. I used to know back streets, and just not even looking at the map. If somebody caught in traffic, one of my friends would call me and say, "Hey, man, I'm over here. Tell me the best way to get over here." And I would tell them, and they'd be like, "Man, you like a human MapQuest." That was when we were using MapQuest before Google came out and was real, used real hard. Everybody used MapQuest, and that was my thing. Like I literally studied back streets, where to go. Whether it be on MapQuest or where I had the map road map in my car. So it made it easier for me to maneuver. And I would tell other people about that. That was the thing. Like when I'm passionate about something, I take my time, study it, understand. Shout out to Alonzo. Alonzo, man, you making me really want to reconsider, might even getting my license because of that. Because, to a point, That's one of the things that I've always looked at for myself is, keeping people informed and helping people out. I'm 50-50 on it, on the fence about it. And then Prince got him. And so he's pushing, like kicking me along as well. But, you know, being passionate about something. Yeah, I remember the rotary phone. Being passionate about something and trying to help people out. I'm looking at the knowledge, trying to get an understanding for this because I want to teach this with my kids. Like I say, when my twins took that course at their school, one of them had a situation where he was married, no kids, and they gave him a job and a salary. He had to make it work. My other son, he was not married, no kids, um, had a salary of $70,000 a year as some type of ticket taker or something like that, and he had to say, well, where would he stay? How much would he spend? Give him different scenarios. And I'm like, okay, my son really was interested in it. He came home excited about this. So I told my wife, I was like, this is the most exciting, the most excited he has been, in a while dealing with school regarding finance and stuff because he has he doesn't have that keen thing like his brother does when it comes to money. Like he just looks at money as something to have, something to deal with, and that is it. Far as his brother, he looks at money as, man, I need to save, buy the things I need, buy the things that I want. He plays games. So he literally saves his money to buy Robux and get these packages to where he can beat the game and make it more better for him compared to his brother. He'll just spend money on something right now, mad because he can't afford something else later. He doesn't see the bigger picture. And the smart thing with the other twin, he don't take his money and buy clothes and things he wants because he said, well, I trust my parents' judgment on these things, and they let me majority pick out certain things that I want. So why buy clothes when they buy clothes for us? But the other one just think that his fashion sense is so keen to where he spends his money for clothes and ultimately like kind of regrets it because he could buy more things later on, but then the money spent. So like I said, them at a young age, they're learning the process as well as I did when I was young. When it came down to it, there were certain things that I wanted to buy, there were certain things I bought. When I started getting money, I planned my attack on how I want to, spend my money, how I want to keep my money. And that's the thing I'm actually applying to my boys now to have them an understanding of, hey, look, when you get older, these are the things you're going to need to do. These are the things you're going to need to, have an understanding about as far as money. Talk about relations. Me and my oldest son, we were having conversation the Saturday about relationship, you know, and he's getting to a point like I was when I was around his age that, you know, maybe I might don't get married because, with me having an intense work schedule the way I did, I wasn't at home as much and I did talk to some females and it got to a point where, you know, it was always good to seek wise counsel. And I talked to different people. Like I say, preferably my cousin that told me to get married. You know, this was one of the things he said, well, you deal with somebody you truly like, and you're to a point in the situation that y'all kind of, working it out, or you like her to a degree like this. Why not get married? What are you waiting on? And, he gave me some key points to look at and, you know, things I need to question before marriage and so forth. And I went on. That's the point. If I can't go to school to be a lawyer, or if I'm not going to school to be a lawyer, but I'm in a situation to where I want to, be informed, I'll go talk to a lawyer. I'll go study books. I'll go look at people in the process on dealing and taking the bar. Like I told my son last night when he was asking me about going to college. He said, well, Dad, why you didn't go to college? I said, well, I was making so much money. I looked at me just being kind of weird for me to go to college and put myself in debt when I'm actually making the money that most people come out of college making, as a young man. And he was like, do you regret not going to college or you just didn't have the money? I told him I wrestled in high school. I had a partial scholarship to where any school I was going to, they was gonna fit the bill for half of my tuition, you know. And if I would have, made it to the point where the school seen my, enthusiasm in the sport that I was going to school for, they would have actually gonna give me a full ride, and that's what they did with one of my friends. He actually won the Big Ten in Iowa, the same school me and him was going to. He decided to go, I didn't, and for the most part, he said, yeah, he has college debt, but he don't regret his experience with going to college. And I told my son a lot of times that's what college is for most people, an experience or a situation to a point where somebody trying to figure out life, and they go to college to get a degree in something that can channel them and get more pay. But in actuality, like I say, with me driving trucks, I can go to a trade school and do this. Me dealing in plumbing, electrician, those are all trade schools, you know, and we do need more of them in these fields. So, hey, that's an option. Now, if I want to be somewhat of a doctor, lawyer, then I would have to go to a university and get the degrees and that. And like I told my son, simply understood, taking the bar could actually get me a point of being a lawyer. You know, people that take the test for to be a doctor, even with all these years of experience, taking that test and passing it, you're going to be ahead of most people that failed that test so many times. I was looking at Dave Ramsey. There was a guy who had enough credits to become a school teacher, and he sought off to be a doctor. He actually failed the test 3 times. He was $80,000 in debt because he really wanted to be a doctor that bad. So, like I said, you can blame, shoot the finger at everybody else. If you have a situation where you're failing in life, you got to look at yourself. You're an adult. After 18, you should be deeming yourself responsible for your actions. I'm not going to blame my parents because I'm not good with money. I need to go find people that are good with money and talk and deal with them. Same approach when it comes to relationships. I can't blame my parents. I can have somewhat of a fault for them, but I have to be accountable for this because, like I say, when you get to the point of being an adult, 18, 21, however you want to look at it, you need to deem yourself responsible for your actions. You need to deem yourself responsible for the choices that you make. Ultimately, it always boils down to the choices that you make. If you're not this person that's successful, it's your fault. If you're not this person that's doing certain things, you have to look at the situation that you put yourself in and the outcome you made for yourself. And with that being said, shout out to people. Yep, shout out to everybody in the building. And like I say, when it comes down to it, it's not everybody's fault. Get educated, have knowledge, have understanding. I talked about this on one of my podcasts the other day. The 3 L's. It is look, listen, and learn. Look at the situation at hand, listen to the things that you need in order to apply, and learn to better suit yourself with the 3 L's. And with that being said, shout out to everybody in the building. As always, focus on your craft, man. Have an understanding where you want to go in life, set a goal and get there. Focus on your budget, stick to a budget plan. Like I said, looking at this guy Ramif channel, I will make you rich has made me focus more on my goals to retirement, has made me focus more on my finance, to make my credit score better and go from there. And with that being said, shout out to everybody. I always say when I leave here, once again, we here and we gone.